Welcome back to another episode of Tile Trends by Tile Club, the #1 podcast for all things tile, home improvement, and interior design. I'm your host, Lindsay Flukiger, and today we have a very special guest joining us. She's a dynamic entrepreneur with a passion for creativity and renovation. Please welcome Katie Haynes of Pink Dreams Cottage.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks, Caitlin. We cannot wait to talk to you about all things pink. So excited. Katie, your journey is so incredibly inspiring. Can you tell us a bit about your transition from studying psychology and business to becoming an entrepreneur?
Yes, absolutely. So I studied psychology and business at Morehead State University. And I remember it was like a week before graduation. And of course, all of my classmates knew exactly what graduate school they'd be attending or what career they were going to pursue. And I just felt so lost. I had no idea what I wanted to do or which direction I wanted to go. I was interested in everything, but I couldn't imagine picking just one thing to do for the rest of my life. So I decided on a whim not to rush into things, just to graduate and then move to the beach for the summer and just enjoy life to the absolute fullest. And I would kind of figure it out along the way. So that's exactly what I did. I moved to Daytona Beach, Florida following graduation, and I ended up living in a little studio apartment right on the beach. I signed a month-to-month lease, so I had complete freedom for how long I wanted to be there. You know, I intended for it to be just this summer. I got a job bartending and serving at a restaurant right on the beach. And somehow 3 months turned into 2.5 years living in Florida. And I was just hungry to learn, hungry for opportunities. I took advantage of everything that came my way. I wasn't afraid of taking risk. And somehow all of that led to where I am today.
That's so awesome. It's so inspiring to hear people that just say, I just kind of stepped out on a ledge and went for it. And amazing to see that almost always
Yes.
things end up exactly how they're supposed to be. So awesome. So it's clear that creativity is at the heart of your latest project. You have taken not only an abandoned house, but a condemned house, and you are turning it into a pink Airbnb near your hometown. Truly fascinating, so inspiring. What inspired this venture?
So there's a couple of different things that has inspired this pink Airbnb renovation. The first one is that I really love to travel. I've stayed at Airbnbs all over the world. I've been to 6 or 7 different countries, many states all over the US. And I've stayed in a tiki hut, a sailboat, a bed and breakfast, a yurt. And those are always just special parts of the trip for me, memories that will last a lifetime. And, you could ask me about a hotel that I stayed in 5 years ago, and I probably couldn't tell you anything about it. But if you ask me about any Airbnb that I've ever stayed in, I could tell you a whole list of things about it. So they're always just so special and unique. So that kind of inspired me, like, hey, I think it would be cool to have my own Airbnb one day. But I didn't actively pursue it at the time. I kind of just kept that in the back of my mind and, went on with life. And fast forward a couple years later, I was back in Florida and I visited a place called Rose Cafe near Miami, Florida. And it's a little cafe. Everything's pink. They have a pink rose wall, a pink telephone booth covered in pink florals, pink furniture, pink desserts, like just so over the top. And my friend and I actually found this on Instagram and decided to get all dressed up and drive an hour to go visit this place. And of course, we passed up countless bakeries and cafes on our way to get there, but like this was the one. We had to see this one, there was something special about it. So I remember getting there and walking in and my jaw just dropping. It was like walking into a little pink fantasy world. And I just really, I loved the way I felt there. I looked around, everyone was so in the moment. Everyone was smiling and laughing and having a good time. And I was sitting there with my friend. We were drinking our coffee and eating our dessert. And I just had this light bulb moment. I was like, that's it, like a pink Airbnb. So I kind of put these things all together. So we spent the rest of the time there kind of dreaming up like this little pink house that didn't exist. She was telling me, oh yes, like this is such a great idea. I'll come help you with the pill and stick wallpaper. And like, you got to do this. And I was like, yes, like one day this is going to happen. But at that time, I had more questions than I did answers. I mean, I didn't know when or where or how. So once again, just kind of went on with life. And I would say like 4 months later, I was back in my hometown and I was actually just passing time and I started scrolling on Zillow just for fun, like out of curiosity. And the very first house that popped up had been listed less than 24 hours ago. And it was listed for $5,000. And I was like, there's no way, that must be a typo or a mistake or something. So I scrolled through the pictures and I immediately call my dad. I tell him about it. And I'm just like, that's not right, is it? Like that's got to be a typo. He was like, I don't know, call him and ask, set up an appointment to walk through. So I called them. And within a couple hours of that call, my dad and I were meeting at this house to walk through with a realtor. And like this house was in bad shape. I mean, I remember walking up on the front porch and like we were laughing, afraid we were going to fall through. The ceilings were falling in. There was no water, no electricity. But it was kind of like I was looking at this house with rose-colored glasses on, I guess you could say. I think I walked through it looking at what it could be versus what it actually was. Like I just saw the potential and I had a vision. And my dad, on the other hand, was a lot more realistic about things. He saw it for what it was, all the work that had to come. I mean, he's been in the contractor world for over 30 years. And this is my first time ever renovating a house. So I just had no idea like the work that would have to go into this house to make it into the vision. So I was kind of discouraged. I thought, he's discouraging this. He knows more than me. Like maybe this just isn't the one. So we went and had ice cream afterwards. And he looked at me and said, so how much are you going to bid? I was like, okay, like I'm going to take that as a sign of encouragement. Like, let's do this. So that's exactly what I did. I placed my bid of $10,000 because it was an auction. The $5,000 was the opening bid. I bidded $10,000 and I got a call a couple days later that the house was mine and the rest was history from there.
Wow, what an amazing story. I can only imagine how much like growing up with a dad who was in construction probably influenced
Yes.
just your thought process that this was even possible. So walk us through a little bit about your and your dad's relationship and taking on this project and how that's played a part in the overall design and renovation of the Pink Dreams Cottage.
Yes. So I remember when we started this project, he said, like, Katie, this is an everything house. And I had no idea what that meant. I've slowly figured that out along the way. That means like you're tearing everything apart before you're putting it back together, essentially. And I just like I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But he's been a great teacher and he's been so patient with me. It's really strengthened our relationship. We've had a lot of fun together. We never take things too seriously. We've definitely created memories that will last a lifetime. And I really appreciate that he's slowed down to like show me everything along the way and just teach me so many lessons.
Yeah, it sounds like invaluable time, wisdom, and just really precious moments with your dad. That's so cool.
Yes.
So I love what you were saying about going to this bakery, this cafe that you went to, and then just feeling that vibe and the aesthetic of just how fun it was to be there and like the overall experience. And how much, and you probably have gotten this question a ton, how much do you think the Barbie trend is going to attribute to the success of this amazing pink aesthetic?
Yeah, that's such a good question because it was crazy the way everything happened, like with the Barbie trend. Because when I started this house, I had no idea they were going to be making a movie and bringing all of this back. So I had already kind of jumped on like the pink trend and the pink theme and idea. And then when that came out, I feel like it just blew it up even more. People was like, oh my gosh, this is like a real life Barbie dream house. And it wasn't necessarily inspired to be like a Barbie house, but I think pink and Barbie is kind of like all wrapped into one thing. So I remember like people commenting, this is the real life Barbie house, and just saying like, girl, you started this trend before Barbie did. And I don't know, it definitely built up the hype around it and stuff. And I think people just fell in love with it even more.
Yeah, there's something so nostalgic about pink. On top of just being like, oh, like pink bubblegum. I was thinking my first dollhouse was this little tyke, huge, just like plastic house that was pink and it had like this or no, let's see, was it mint green door and then like a blue roof to it. And I went back there just looking at everything that you're doing. So I love it. How hard is it? There are so many different shades of pink. How hard has that journey been deciding on which shade is right and what goes where, how to walk us through that process?
Yes. So I would say I'm a pretty indecisive person, but one thing about me is I will do something 1,000 times until I get it right. So for instance, there's one wall in the living room that I have painted, like I am not exaggerating, 6 to 8 times because it is so hard. There's so many different shades of pink. And you can go and get the color swatches and stuff, but you never really know what it's going to look like until you have it on the wall in front of you. And I just like poured so much into this house. My dad has, everyone has. And like, I want it to be as perfect as possible. So once I got one color up, if that didn't feel right, I would go back to Lowe's or Sherwin-Williams and get another one and try again and again and again. So yes, definitely a little bit of a challenge to find the right shades of pink. But at the same time, I definitely want to incorporate different shades of pink and have them all work together.
Yeah, it really seems like you've put so much thought and effort into your strategy and it really comes through. My new favorite post of yours is the beautiful chandelier that you just installed. That medallion is unreal. Can you tell us a little
Yes.
bit about that and kind of the thought process behind these glorious light fixtures?
Yes. So the most recent chandelier that I shared actually came from my mama's basement. And everyone loves that story and wants to know more about it. Like, I love things that are one of a kind and that have a story behind them. And so many pieces in this house do. Like, I love thrift shopping. I share about that sometimes and just things that you don't see anywhere else. So I was actually visiting my mama and we were sitting at her little craft table and she has this gorgeous chandelier above that table. And at that time I was looking for light fixtures and I asked her where that came from because it was just, I couldn't find that anywhere. I had Googled everything. I'd searched on Pinterest and this was just so stunning. And she gave me the story of where this light came from. And she said, you know what? I actually think I have one similar in my basement. Hold on, let's go down there and look. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. No way do you have a chandelier like this just laying in your basement. But at the same time, if you know her, then it's really not surprising that she would. Like, she just has a little bit of everything. So we went down in her basement and she pulled out this trash bag, opened it up, and there was the most gorgeous chandelier. Took it home. I put all the crystals together, scrubbed it down, and every single piece was there. I mean, it was just amazing. And was like, I want to make this even more special than it already is. Like, this has got to have a medallion to draw even more attention to it. So I searched online, found the perfect one, and it's actually the very first thing that you see when you walk in the house. It's right in front of the entrance, and I couldn't love it more.
That's awesome. So on the lines of pink and finding the right shade, we have collaborated with you for your upcoming bathroom renovation, which has not been revealed yet. So
Yes.
we don't have to like go into detail of any of that, but can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the tile that you chose, and what we have to look
Absolutely.
at
Yes.
there?
Yes, absolutely. So like I said, I am a little bit of an indecisive person when it comes to certain things, but there's other things that I see it for 1 second and my mind is instantly made up. There's no question, no negotiation. And I actually saw the tile that I chose for the first time on Pinterest. And I was like, that's it. Like, I don't need to look at anything else. I just need to figure out where to place my order. Like, this is it. This is perfect. This is everything I imagined and more. And I can't wait to share this reveal. Like, I think everyone's going to love it as much as I do.
Awesome. We are so excited. We've been talking a lot about it internally and yeah, we're ready whenever you are.
Yes, almost.
Yes. So speaking of timelines, when is this Airbnb slated to be finished and available to the public to start booking?
Yes. So this has got to be the number one most asked question is when are you opening the doors? Is there a wait list that we can get on? When can we book? We want to stay. And I just like I'm blown away by that. I still can't believe that there's so many people all over the world like counting down the days until this place is open. And unfortunately, I don't have an exact date just yet, but I will say we're getting really close. I mean, it's time to start furnishing the house and do all of those finishing touches. But once again, it is just my dad and I doing this renovation, just the two of us together. And he also works a full-time job. So we're trying to like sneak over here and get things done in his spare time. So I guess the opening day is to be announced, but it's coming soon, I promise.
Awesome. Well, we more like reason to follow along and be sure that our listeners are following you as well to make sure that we're getting the play by play and figuring all of it out. Excited. So, Katie, social media has been instrumental in connecting with others who share your passion for DIY. What words do you have of inspiration to anyone who's looking into doing their own DIY project, whether it be something small or something large scale like what you and your dad are doing?
Yes, my advice would be to just start. Like if you wait until everything aligns perfectly and you know exactly what you're doing, you'll never start because that's never going to happen until you jump into it and you learn as you go and you figure it out as you go. And my other advice would be like you've got to believe in yourself before anyone else does. And you never know what could be waiting for you on the other side of fear. Like I look back a year ago from now and it was a completely different reality than it is now. I had an abandoned house that was falling in. Nobody believed in it. I mean, most people told me just tear the house down. It's not worth the time or energy or money. This isn't a good idea. Like just do something else instead. And I also only had about 2,000 followers on Instagram. And to be honest, half of those were probably there to see me fail, you know? But I had a vision and I believed in myself. And I actually set a goal to have 10,000 followers by the time the doors opened. And that just seemed like honestly impossible to me. I had no idea how I could build a community like that. But I just decided to kind of put the goal to the side and focus more on just like sharing authentically and consistently. It wasn't as overwhelming to focus on that versus like a goal that seemed so unattainable. And a year later, now I have a beautiful pink house that people are asking to be on a wait list for instead of telling me to tear it down. And we've grown a community of almost 500,000 people from all over the world. So, yeah, none of this would have ever been possible if I didn't just start and believe in myself.
That's such great advice and so inspiring. I love that you weren't so concerned with like putting perfect out there. It was just a matter
Right.
of like, let me just document the journey, show what really is happening. And I think there's something to be said about just being yourself and being genuine on social media.
Right.
Yeah. So speaking of social media, how, you are exposing yourself to limitless people all over the world, as you said. How do you respond to negativity that comes your way?
Honestly, I don't respond because there's only one of me. Like I don't have a manager running my account or anything. And if I'm going to set aside the time to be on there and interact with people, I'm going to give my time and attention to the people who are pouring out love and encouragement and support. And honestly, for every one negative comment that someone has to say, there's 100 or 1,000 positive comments. Like it's honestly just insane how social media has built this community. And like it just feels like I have cheerleaders in my corner from all over the world. And it's just, I appreciate everyone's support and encouragement so much and their patience and loyalty to this too, because we're 2 years into this project and they're still cheering for us and believing in us. And yeah, I'm just excited.
Yeah. So cool. A great lesson in positivity and boundaries. So I applaud you for that.
Yes.
Like, nope, just don't respond. You don't get my time. It's a great
Right.
lesson. motto in life. So, also, so Katie, I was digging a lot of it around, as I've already said, in your Instagram, and just saw some things from Christmas and different things that you guys have done. Can you share how this renovation journey has helped impact your community and also has inspired you to give back to others?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the most amazing thing about this project, and something that's happened beyond what I ever imagined, is that so many people have shared with me that this project has inspired them to follow their own dreams. And that's the biggest reward that I could ever ask for. Like I can't believe that my story is inspiring other people to follow their dreams. And just the encouragement and support and love that I've received, I think it's the least that I could do, to give it back to others.
Yeah, awesome. I saw something specific about um, collecting toys or something at Christmas time and all the pretty
Yes.
wrapping paper. Can you tell us a little bit about what Pink Dreams Cottage did for the children in your community at Christmas?
Yes. So we did something called Pink Christmas, where we helped shop for children in our local community who maybe their families were struggling to get them Christmas gifts. So we shopped for, I think, about 15 or 20 different kids. And we, went shopping. We handpicked out toys. We got lists of all their likes and interests and things that were on their wish list and things that they loved. And we handpicked out every single toy in beautiful pink wrapping paper. A couple of my family members came to help, and we had like a little get together. And the parents came and picked up the pink gifts for their kids, and they were just so grateful, and it was so rewarding. I'm so happy to do that. And honestly, it was kind of just something I threw together last minute. That is how a lot of my things end up working out. But it was just such a success that now I hope to do that every single year. And
That's
hopefully it continues to grow bigger and bigger,
absolutely. I could see that like being so impactful as it continues to grow,
Yes.
and you got to start somewhere. I love all of
Right.
that. Yeah. I feel like those who learn to give back after everything they've received is just you, those are the people that we love to follow. Like I think the population in general, just those feel good stories, which you already have a feel good story, but the fact that you're taking all of this and giving back just says volumes about your character, about your brand and what you're putting out there. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the home? When was it built? Do you know anything about who lived there, the eras that it saw, timeline of historical events, anything that you can share with us about the history of the Pink Dreams Cottage?
Yes, absolutely. So the house was actually built in 1905. And I found that out through Zillow when I was looking at the house. But other than that, I really didn't know anything else about the history of the house. And I'm so glad you asked this question, because this is such a crazy story that I'm excited to share. So the day that I got the key, I actually started sharing the renovation process online. And within the first few months of sharing it, I got a random message on Instagram from a girl about my age who said, I saw your renovation online, and I'm so excited that you're doing this. My mom actually grew up in the house that you're renovating, and we would love to know more about your plans and maybe even come and see it sometime. Because I guess her mom had like drove her by the house throughout her lifetime, but she never actually got to like bring her inside and show her childhood home, because it was abandoned and condemned and just like boarded up. No one could go inside. So of course I responded. I was so excited that this girl found me, and I said that I would love, to meet her and her mom, to know more about the history of the house and to show them around and, share my plans with them. So we had that conversation, and we tried to meet, but life just kind of got in the way. Our schedule didn't work out. Some things came up. So fast forward about 6 months, and I was working with a local photographer on another project. And the photographer asked me if she could bring another model to the shoot. And I was like, yes, of course. Like, the more the better. So the day of the photo shoot comes, we all meet at this location, and she introduces me to the girl that she brought. And we were kind of in a hurry. It was a little bit chaotic and I didn't quite catch her name. I didn't know this girl, but nonetheless, we had a great time. Like we all clicked and hit it off, had great conversation. So, I would consider it like a successful little photo shoot. So I would say about 2 hours later, I was on Instagram and I got a message from the girl whose mom grew up in the house. And of course, I'm thinking like, this is just her messaging me something about the house. So I opened it up and she was like, oh my gosh, Katie, I knew you from somewhere, but I couldn't pinpoint it. That was me at the photo shoot. We just met each other and had no idea. And we have this connection about the house. And our minds were just blown. Like it was the craziest thing. I think we were just destined to meet each other one way or another. So obviously, like since then, we've stayed in contact throughout this entire renovation. She'll message me something or I'll message her something. And we actually have something really exciting in store. I don't want to share all of the details yet, but you're going to get to know her and her mom more, I think, as time goes on. And also, I would really love for them to be the first guests to ever stay in this pink Airbnb once it's finished.
That is so sweet and just
Yes,
shocking and awesome
I
at
know.
the same time. Like, what are the odds?
Right.
What an amazing story, Katie. I mean, it's just like universe is colliding to
Yes.
bring it all together for you. How incredible. Well, it has been such a treat to talk to you today, to go through this inspiring journey with you, to tell our listeners all about Pink Dreams Cottage. I hope they all run to Instagram to follow along. Can you tell me if there
Yeah.
are any other platforms or places that we can follow along with your journey as well?
Right now, I've just been sharing things on Instagram, but there's some things in the works and things that are coming soon. I have a TikTok account. I haven't started posting on there yet, but I'm going to soon, and I'll be sharing some different content on there. And then maybe even a website and a blog and things like that coming soon. So definitely stay tuned.
Thank you for taking the time, and we can't wait to see what's in store for you in Pink Dreams Cottage.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.